Thank you very much for having me. Big thank you to Zambian Netowrk. I think this is a really good platform for people to meet and network. And it's proving itself effective tonight. My name is Benjamin Bush. I'm President of Mixed Martial Arts Zambia, the head coach at Ulemu Fight Academy. I've got a six-pack somewhere in here somewhere. I'm also a director of Showtime Entertainment. But I wanted to give a little bit of background as to how I got from A to B and what is actually happening right now in terms of sports development and sport for positive social change. So I grew up here. I was born here. I had a great childhood. I loved Zambia so much with a passion. I was always into Kung Fu films. I used to walk to Cairo Road, rent a VHS tape, and 9 times out of 10 it wouldn't actually have on it what it had written on it, but you know, we'd watch those Kung Fu films. And I ended up going to the UK for boarding school, and you know, it was a massive culture shock. You know, here I had all my friends. It was warm. UK was cold, grimy. And I was very homesick. I always had a passion. I always wanted to come back to Zambia. Anyway, things being what they were, I went on and got involved in film. So I actually got a master's degree in film and visual effects and technology. Went to London to try and get a job. And coming from just going through multiple degrees, and then getting my master's, and then hitting the big city, trying to get my foot in the door in an industry that wasn't really fully established was very tricky, because the industry, the film industry, you know, the people who are working in visual effects had been in the industry for a very long time. They weren't going to let some little upstart come in at the top end. So whilst I was in London working my way up in the film industry, I started to train in mixed martial arts. Now, those of you who don't know much about mixed martial arts is a sport. So it's a sport that combines what works in martial arts. And there's a set of rules that have been developed over time. Initially, there weren't any rules. So when I got involved in mixed martial arts, it was the kind of middle ground. There were rules, but there was also not a lot of structure in terms of regulation, especially in the UK. I'll give you an example. We turn up at an event, my friend is fighting, his opponent pulls out, the promoter comes onto the stairs and asks everybody who's passing, do you want to fight? You know, you can fight this guy. And the guy that was going to fight had 6 fights. He was a professional fighter. The people on the stairs were just drinking beers. So, you see what I'm saying? It was a little bit unregulated back then. But what I did get first-hand experience of was the transformative nature of sport. Okay? The gym that I was involved in was, for want of a better term, a ghetto gym, right? It was mixed martial arts. It was the early days. And a lot of the people who used to come into that gym, you know, were on the borderline of you know, criminality. And once they started to train, and once they started to take the sport seriously, their lives changed. They had goals. They understood what hard work was. They had determination. They put in the effort and the work, and they had a sense of family, which they clearly didn't have outside of the gym. So, cut a long story short, I was involved in MMA for a while and cornered quite a few fighters. But through the film business, I met a young Brazilian fighter and set about starting to get a documentary made about him. Now, this young fighter was a guy called Jose Aldo, who went on to be a UFC champion, but at this time no one knew who he was. I went out to Brazil to shoot a pilot for this documentary, and he was using mixed martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to keep kids out of the drug gangs. Now this was a young man who was growing up in the favelas of Rio, and I don't know if many of you are too familiar with the favelas, but the favelas is a really interesting place. They're a very beautiful place, extremely beautiful place, but they are the juxtaposition of where wealth and poverty collide. Okay, so they're the poor communities right in the hills of some of the richest parts of these big cities. And that clash between those two elements leads to what was really a narco state. So you had these drug gangs battling for control of these favelas. The drug trade was in full swing, and quite literally, when I went to meet him and I went to the favela, we would walk past military police, all with their machine guns, etc., bullet holes all over the place, and you'd turn down an alleyway, and the police would not enter there. And as soon as you walk down there, there would be young kids as young as 8 with fully automatic weapons, you know, tables full of drugs. Yeah, I've never seen anything quite like it. And this young fighter was using sport to keep those kids out of the drug gangs, to give them discipline, to give them self-respect and belief in who they could be. And that left an incredible impact on me. Now, I never got this film made, and I will get this film made, because I'm sure some of you come on board on that. But my point is that right there, I knew that if something as powerful as that could have such an impact in the favelas of Rio, then it would definitely be something positive to roll out in other developing economies. I had the opportunity to come back to Zambia. Actually, someone contacted me and they were like, "You're into mixed martial arts?" I was like, "Yes, I'm into mixed martial arts, a little bit." And they asked me to come back and start mixed martial arts here. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. As soon as I got to Zambia, that project fell through. So what I did is I just started teaching. I set up effectively something that turned into a social project. So for those of you who don't know, Ulemu Fight Academy is effectively a passion project. It's a place. I have a fight team. I have athletes who are competing at a high level. And we use the sport to change people's lives for the better. So, you know, we work in the compounds, like I said, we've got a fight team now. Let me just get track of what I'm meant to be talking about, because I completely forgot what I'm talking about. Right, exactly. I set up Ulemu Fight Academy, it's a social program, right? And some of these athletes who were training with me, they were very good. Like, you know, within a year, I had athletes who were high-level athletes. So I started to reach out. I contacted the EFC, I contacted the UFC, I contacted Bellator, I contacted people in the UK that I knew. I was like, I've got some fighters, man. These fighters are really good. They need an opportunity. They need an opportunity to shine. And absolutely no one would give them an opportunity. They're like, you know, you're in Zambia. We don't know if they're any good. We just got you saying they're good. Have they fought amateur? No. Have they fought pro? No. So, at that point, it frustrated me enough to go, okay, well, if no one's going to help me, then I'm going to set up the infrastructure in the country where they can compete and where they can have international exposure and where they can go on to be UFC stars. So, we set up the association, MMA Zambia. We registered with the National Sports Council under the Ministry of Youth and Sport. We then set about getting an international affiliation. So we actually won an award in our first year through the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation, which is a world governing body, very stringent world governing body, who accepted us under them. And they did that because we put in place good governance. Now, a lot of people here, like, you know, you've got companies, etc. I mean, good governance is something, you know, you can learn from. When you look at constitutions for, I don't know, the Olympic framework, or even, as I'm saying, International Mixed Martial Arts Federation. There's a lot that can be taken from there and transferred into businesses and your articles of association. And these things can drive your philosophy as a company. So you should, it's definitely worth looking into. And we were able to use the expertise from IMMAF to put together our own framework, which included, transparency and good governance, etc. So, but still, the fighters had nowhere to compete. So what did we do? We set up the Zambia National Amateur League, and this event was huge. It's not playing on the back here, but that's fine. I did send the video. Okay, Zambia National Amateur League was a big event. It's not actually now progressed. It's no longer the Zambia National Amateur League. It's now called Fist of Valor. It's an event that takes place at the Music Club. It's broadcast to 5 countries. We get it 1 million uniques across social media in the 1 month around the event. The next event is actually in November. So we provided the outlet for the athletes to compete, and through what we were doing on a domestic level, growing the sport, we now have 10 clubs. From those 10 clubs, 8 of those clubs are actually through my social project. So through the seeds that were planted with the social project, there's now 8 clubs. Well, there's 10 clubs, but 8 of them came from the athletes who came up through the ranks through Ulemu Fight Academy, which is a big deal. But with the domestic kind of outlet in terms of competition, we needed to take it to the next stage. So the National Amateur League leads to national selection, which leads to international representation. For example, next month we have 20 athletes going to Angola to compete at the Africa Championships. The Africa Championships is the biggest continental event in mixed martial arts at amateur level. It also leads to these athletes going to the World Championships. And what does that do for these athletes? Okay, these athletes who walk into a gym at OYDC, who train and probably have to walk 2 hours a day to get to the gym. They train hard, and then they get to see another country. They get to see professional, mechanisms. They undergo medicals pre and post fight. They do their weigh-ins. They have to be on time. They learn so much. They also get the opportunity to graduate and get coaching certificates. They basically embark along a career progression pathway. And this is where I should have been talking about 10 minutes ago. So I'll be real quick. I know everybody's okay. So the career progression pathways are really exciting. What it means is that an athlete can compete, can level up, and then he can get his coaching certificate. And then what I'm trying to look to do is to try and empower those athletes who get the coaching certificate, to give them financial literacy training, to give them media training, to give them a business plan, and to give them access to ethical microloans so that they can set up community gyms, provided those community gyms roll out vulnerable youth programs and help the community. Okay, so the vulnerable youth programs are important as well. And this is how I adapted a framework, an international framework from the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation, and adapted it for a developing economy in such a way that it actually benefits Zambia. It benefits the people, right? It enables us to create role models who inspire others to come to the gym to learn. They don't have to compete. They can come, they do the vulnerable youth program, and they're going to learn about mental health, self-belief, fake news, all of these things taught through the metaphor of sport. Actually, there's 15 key lessons, but those are some of the examples. So now where am I going with this? Oh yeah. Yeah. So with all of these things in place, you know, it started with the Ulemu Fight Academy. It started with a social project, which is a passion project, which is still ongoing. But really, what I'm trying to develop is social enterprises, lots of little social enterprises, opportunities for athletes who are competing to be able to run gyms, generate an income, empower their community, and inspire their community to go on and do the same, and kind of have a domino effect. At the same time, I've developed a proposal for my Ulemu Fight Academy to become, like, you know, the pilot project for a larger performance institute. The Performance Institute, again, is very similar to a social enterprise, but the difference is it actually facilitates, you know, high net individuals, wealthy individuals, to, you know, to come and enjoy the sport and learn from the sports science, you know, born over 30 years of the sport, and you know, benefit from that and get fit, and also give back, because their money that gets put into the academy is not just for profit. It goes towards social enterprise. It goes into helping the community and facilitating a fight team. Still not playing my video, but okay. Which leads to the competitions. And again, like, so what I've kind of talked about is the association and its governance, the Ulemu Fight Academy and its evolution, and through Showtime Entertainment, the kind of sport aspect. And it should be noted as well that Fist of Valor is no joke. It is the best. It is, well, I'd probably be overstepping the mark to say it's the best on the continent. It's probably one of the best mixed martial arts products on the continent. It has the opportunity to place Zambia on the world map in terms of mixed martial arts, which is the intention. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Kind of didn't know where I was going with this whole speech, and I hope I kind of touched on a few things. So thank you very much, everybody.